insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a shortlist of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
A History of Minecraft by Sam. There once was a time where the villagers ruled over the land, living in big kingdoms, and at the top of each villager empire stood a priest who owned all the kingdom and lived in a big royal church. They were allied with the ancient builders, at least the small number of builders that were still alive, who helped them construct their vast civilizations. The most important of these kingdoms was the oceanside kingdoms, with big docks and ports. In each biome stood small villages built by their inhabitants, which were used by messengers to stop while delivering important scrolls and other items. These villages expanded across the riverbanks and ocean shores. They were vital to the kingdoms. Outside of the kingdoms were simple farmers, who worked for the priest and his other royal companions, delivering food and animals to the kingdom. All farmers in all kingdoms were united, not by friendship, but just by their job. After all, it was one of the main reasons for their survival and that of others. They did not get paid, but they enjoyed their work anyway. There were exits in every part of the cities that were enclosed in big, grand stone brick walls, so that people like the blacksmith and stonemason could leave the city to go collect resources. The ancient builders had taught the villagers how to build and help them advance. The villagers built monuments and underwater cities in the oceans to honor the builders. They had also built strongholds to hold forbidden information about different realms and dimensions, also to be as a safe place in case of attack, but they were quickly abandoned for lack of use. In the center of the cities, they built portals to another dimension, but these were never used because the dimension on the other side was too dangerous. The last thing they constructed were pyramids in the deserts to worship the builders and to store any loot that was either unwanted or valuable, above a pressure plate activating a TNT trap. But one day, a group of builders went mining for resources to help the villagers do maintenance on the structures in one of the cities. Little did they know their fate would shift south that same day. As they exited the mine, one of the builders got too close to a creeper, which attacked them and blew up right next to the builders' backs, knocking them to the ground, and triggering the gravel cave side to collapse, suffocating the group of builders to death. As soon as the news spread, the kingdoms went into a state of panic. With the builders dead, they did not know if the caves were safe, and so they could not go to get resources. Now only 2 builders remained, and one was in critical condition after an attack by a skeleton. The other was in a faraway kingdom over mountains, valleys, and oceans that went as far as the eye could see. The priest of one of the kingdoms sent his best messenger over to tell the priest of the other cities that the injured builder would not make it. On the way there, the messenger found an entrance to a mineshaft at the base of a mountain. The mineshaft had villagers in it, so the messenger asked if they could use it as transportation. The villagers replied with a yes, and the messenger overcame the vast snowy mountain. From there, it was a straight shot at the walls of the kingdom, holding the last remaining builder. When he got to the entrance, he was greeted by the priest, and he quickly handed the scroll over to him. When the priest saw the encrypted message, his face turned pale, and he rushed the villager inside the church. He then gave him a return letter to the messenger, and led him underground. When they entered a small cave, the messenger saw a lit-up entrance to a more hollow opening. Above the opening, a sign read, "Path to Mineshaft." The priest told him that this was the fastest way to get to the mineshaft the messenger had come through. The messenger was then given extra food and an extra torch and thanked for his service. He quickly returned to his home kingdom and delivered the reply to the priest of the city. After this, the villager kingdom started to become a little more unstable, and with no one who was as wise, skilled, or as strong as the ancient builders, unease started to loom over the villagers. Now that there is no protection from the builders, a kingdom that had had an argument with the city of the last ancient builder told a scout to recruit anyone who could help defend them. So, the scout ventured into the mountains and found an igloo. He needed warmth and went inside. Inside stood a tall, skinny witch. She quickly raised her splash potions to defend herself. When the scout raised his hands and said that he was not trying to hurt anyone, she lowered her potions and let the scout make their proposal. The witch seemed intrigued and was led back to the city. After negotiations with the priest, the witch told the leader that she would tell her kind to say yes if they were asked to join the kingdom. In return for the witch's service, they would get all the brewing supplies they wanted, all in a designated lab just for them. After a while, the tension across the villages began to settle. But one day, after a witch and a villager pulled each other's final strings, the witch had had enough. After all, she worked for him, creating guards for the monuments and attracting cats for the villagers as pets. So, she kidnapped the villager and took him to an igloo in the mountains, where she did experiments and tests on him. Finally, she got revenge on the villager and turned him into a gray, infected villager, a pillager. The witch then crafted a simple stone axe and gave it to the villager. The pillager tried to attack her, but could not get through the iron cage it was in. The next night, the witch kidnapped another villager and did the same thing. But this was a mistake. This time, she had mixed the wrong mushrooms, and this pillager was clearly not the same. It wore a black robe, with gold rolling down the side edges. As soon as it saw the witch, it rose its arms, killed the witch, broke the iron bars. The two pillagers escaped into a nearby taiga biome. They traveled through the endless forest, placing cobblestone rocks to mark their trail if they ever needed to get back. At the edge of the spruce expanse stood a thick, lush cover of dark oak trees. The pillagers got some dark oak wood and built a complex outpost, as the mutations from a villager to a pillager caused them to be smarter and more skilled at building than normal villagers. The outpost lay in the taiga biome, as it was the easier to build in. The outpost started to spawn more pillagers. Slowly, the pillagers' numbers grew, and with every new pillager, something new came. Swords, crossbows, enchantments, and banners. But one day, the pillager with the black robe created a monster, a big horned beast that could destroy blocks by charging through them. The Ravager. The pillagers decided to hail this monster's creator as their leader for making their mightiest weapon. They called their new leader the Evoker. The Evoker could summon other Evokers when wanted, and so on and so forth. These special pillagers, Evokers, dropped one of the most powerful items in the game, the Totem of Undying. These could give an extra life. As the pillager species expanded, they created more outposts and pillagers. One day, a pillager on patrol spotted a villager kingdom just over the hill that his outpost rested behind. The pillagers began to scout the big city and realized it had no guards, as the villagers did not need them. This made it easy to attack. As for the villagers, they did not know about the pillagers, as witches often left for a long time or died on journeys, so when one witch disappeared, no one thought much of it. As word got around through the pillagers about the villager kingdom, they realized that they themselves were villagers, but stronger. They had a natural hate for lots of things, like some mobs, but especially villagers. As pillagers started to find more kingdoms and grow more hate for the villagers, they started to plan attacks on the kingdom. One day, as the farmers were peacefully working in the fields outside the great stone walls that enclosed their city, they heard a horn, a deep, solemn song stretching from the hills. As they turned around to see what the noise was, before them there was an army of gray, villager-like creatures running towards them. Some had swords, some had axes, and some had banners on their backs. But the worst of it all was the big, blocky, horned creature. The farmers shouted and hollered, "Invasion! Invasion!" The villagers started to panic, and the priest hurried to the top of his balcony to see what was going on. Before him, there was an army of pillagers and ravagers. As villagers ran about, people like the blacksmith, stonemason, and the farmers started to flee via the easy exits they had, but others were not as lucky. As this was happening, another controversy broke out in the kingdom over the mountains. The priest of that kingdom realized what happened to his missing villagers, and that it was tied to the witches. And so the witches abandoned their earlier allies and ventured over to try to make ties with the villagers under attack. But what they found was not their allies. The scene was a destroyed city, a mass of stone bricks and old collapsed houses. Center stood the Evoker. The witches approached the pillagers and told them they would fight alongside them if they went to attack the villagers across the mountains. By this time, the priest of the destroyed city had escaped through the underground path made for the messengers. With the destruction of the two kingdoms, mineshafts started to get worn and old, getting more overtaken by hostile mobs, with few villagers to support them. Mobs would slowly reduce the number of villagers in the mines, thus they also became abandoned. The spiders started to infect the mineshafts with cobwebs and became cave spiders. One day a witch wandered into the mineshafts and placed down a block no one had ever seen before. It was a black, net-like block, and in the middle was a small glowing fire. Out of this block came a cave spider, a spider spawner. This spider, when it died, could place another one of these blocks. Only the first cave spider ever spawned could do this, though. As the blocks spawned more spiders, they started invading other mineshafts that were abandoned because of the pillagers. The reign of the pillagers had spread across the world by this time, and it was destroying many kingdoms. And with the help of the witches, they were unstoppable. By this time, many of the priests who had fled their now destroyed kingdoms were in the mineshafts, but the spiders were too much. The spiders started expanding their mineshaft territories rapidly. They had now made way for dungeons and skeleton spawners to appear. The only valuables left in the mineshaft were protected in minecarts and chests, which were almost completely sealed away in the old structures. The priests who had survived the spiders and other mobs were nearing the end of their lives. The pillagers were simply too much. As for the escaped villagers, they had fled to the small villages across the land connecting the now ruined kingdoms. Over time, the pillagers took down every kingdom in the land. They let the ruins rot away, took blocks as trophies. As for the witches, they helped make potions and XP bottles for the villagers. Each small village chose a priest for their small churches, which once were places of worship, but now were just mere buildings made of cobblestone, holding a brewing stand and a balcony. Because a blacksmith in a kingdom next to a big ravine, all encased in grassy plains biome, had made a discovery, a vital one at that. He had found a recipe for a big iron beast that could defend his village, the Iron Golem. Meanwhile, the pillagers had spread to every kingdom in the land and had taken over the world. The pillagers' leaders then decided to construct big mansions as their last sign of total domination, a mocking of what the villagers once had. To construct these houses, the pillagers chose dark oak because it was the most plentiful in its biome, and because it was the grandest wood of all types. The pillagers built these mansions in small quantity, but the scale made up for the number. Inside the big open doors, the grand staircase always rises up, with hallways going to each side. Each hallway is lined with white carpets, and the interior rooms always have maps, beds, and even secret rooms that sometimes hold diamond blocks. These mansions house evokers, pillagers, illagers, and vindicators. As the last kingdoms fell, along with all structures built by the ancient builders and villagers, the ships traveling to and fro had nowhere to go but the underwater cities, which were rare, as well as to their other destination, the oceanside villages, which were also rare. Over time, fewer and fewer ships stayed afloat, sinking into the ocean with their loot because of the lack of resources and maintenance aboard. Slowly, the underwater cities were abandoned because food and other basic materials were not as plentiful, making them not as reliable as the villages. Since the pillagers had completed their reign, they started to help their allies, the witches, expand. The witches had started off in the swamps, but with the help of the pillagers, expanded into the denser mangrove swamps. Here they felt at home. Not in any other biome except for the swamps did they feel that way. To store their loot, they built temples in the jungles with advanced redstone traps to prevent anyone from stealing their treasure. These events all created what we see today, and explain why most structures in Minecraft are abandoned. This is also why we see stone bricks next to all the ruined portals. The fossils we see are also the first species of the Ravager, since the first of a kind are always the strongest. Today, the villagers are somewhat safe from the pillagers, especially the smaller villages, but they are not as advanced and do not build any structures besides the occasional new village. But, one day, a new entity would spawn in and change the course of the villager species forever: the player.